Okie dokie. So today we journey into the world of Norse mythology to learn about the story of one of its most fearsome figures, Fenrir, or Fenris if you prefer. This wolf was born from the union of Loki, the trickster god, and the giantess Angerboda, and stands as a testament to the raw power and unpredictability of nature itself. So in this episode, we're going to look at Fenrir's origins. We're going to examine how this being came to be alongside his equally infamous siblings, the serpent Jormungandr, and Hel, the ruler of the underworld. We'll talk about the terror he instilled in the hearts of the gods, prompting them to take desperate measures to contain him. We'll also go over the plan devised by the gods to bind Fenrir with Gleipnir, a magical chain, and when this happens, it costs Tyr his hand. And finally, we'll also speak about Ragnarok, the prophesied end of the world in Norse mythology, where it's foretold that Fenrir will break free from his bonds and play a pivotal role in the cataclysmic battle between giants and gods, ultimately bringing about the fall of Odin himself. And then, we'll talk about the origins of the myth. Fenrir was born to Loki, the trickster god, and Angerboda, a giantess. The union of these two beings produced not just Fenrir, but also two other notorious offspring, Jormungandr, the colossal serpent encircling the world, and Hel, the enigmatic ruler of the underworld. This is not Marvel, folks. From the moment of his birth, Fenrir was a source of unease for the gods. Unlike his siblings who took on more otherworldly forms, Fenrir appeared as a massive and rapidly growing wolf, his eyes gleaming with an intelligence and malevolence that promised only trouble. This unusual lineage and his formidable strength immediately set him apart as a creature of great power and peril. The gods watched in growing alarm as Fenrir increased in size and strength at an unprecedented rate. His ferocity was unmatched, and even as a young cub, his very presence was a harbinger of doom. It wasn't long before the gods recognized the potential threat he posed and began to consider measures to contain him. Fenrir's early life was marked by a grim inevitability. Despite the gods' best efforts to monitor and control this beast, his destiny seemed intertwined with chaos and destruction. Born into a world already fraught with challenges and prophecies of end times, Fenrir's emergence was a clarion call to the gods that the delicate balance of their world was in jeopardy. Fenrir's incredible strength and size instilled great fear among the gods. The sheer magnitude of his power and the potential for destruction seemed boundless. Each time they encountered him, Fenrir's presence reminded them of the chaos he could unleash upon their world. This overwhelming fear led the gods to take drastic measures, attempting multiple times to bind the monstrous wolf in hopes of safeguarding their own survival and maintaining the fragile balance of their realm. But every effort they made was met with failure. Each binding attempt only served to highlight Fenrir's increasing might. His strength allowed him to break free every time, leaving the gods in a state of dread and desperation. The gods, desperate to prevent the chaos and destruction they believed Fenrir would bring, sought a way to restrain the mighty wolf once and for all. Their earlier attempts using chains of iron and other earthly materials had proven futile. Fenrir, growing in strength with each effort to confine him, easily shattered these bonds. And realizing that ordinary means would never suffice, the gods turned to the dwarves, master craftsmen of Norse mythology. Known for their ability to create objects of unparalleled power and magic, the dwarves created Gleipnir, an extraordinary chain made from materials that defied the very nature of existence. The sound of a cat's footsteps, the roots of a mountain, the sinews of a bear, the breath of a fish, and the spittle of a bird. These impossible elements rendered Gleipnir not only unbreakable, but also surprisingly slender and supple, resembling a silk ribbon more than a formidable shackle. Trusting that this delicate-looking chain held the strength to bind Fenrir, the gods concocted a plan to deceive him. Summoning Fenrir once more, they proposed a test of strength, challenging him to break free from the seemingly fragile ribbon. Fenrir, always suspicious of their intentions, agreed, but only on one condition. As a pledge of their good faith, one of their gods must place their hand in his mouth. He reasoned that if he was unable to break free, the gods would release him, lest the chosen god lose a hand. It was Tyr, the god of war and valor, who stepped forward to make the sacrifice. Known for his bravery and sense of duty, Tyr did not hesitate to place his hand within Fenrir's powerful jaws, and as the ribbon was secured around Fenrir, tension filled the air. In that moment of truth, Fenrir realized the trickery and, with a ferocious snap, bit down, severing Tyr's hand. Despite his loss, the sacrifice was not in vain. Gleipnir held fast, and Fenrir could not break free. Bound by the magical chain, Fenrir was rendered powerless by the gods who celebrated their victory, even though it was at the cost of Tyr's hand. This act of bravery and deception would resonate through the ages, symbolizing the lengths to which the gods will go to maintain order in their world and the inevitable price that must be paid to restrain such uncontrollable forces. According to the Ragnarok prophecy, the mighty wolf, Fenrir, would break free from his enchanted bindings as the end of the world approached. Fenrir will join forces with the giants to mount a ferocious assault against the gods, plunging the cosmos into chaos. And in this final battle, Fenrir is destined to face Odin, the chief of the gods. The clash between the two titanic beings would be fierce and devastating, and ultimately, Fenrir will prevail, killing Odin and sealing his fate in the annals of Norse mythology. Fenrir's triumph is short-lived, as Odin's son Vidar, driven by an unyielding thirst for vengeance, will eventually slay the wolf, bringing a tragic close to the myth of Fenrir. So, the origins of the tale of Fenrir trace back to the ancient Germanic traditions that form the bedrock of Norse beliefs. The traditions were deeply intertwined with the natural environment of Scandinavia, which is a land that's defined by its rugged landscapes and harsh winters. And such environments can give birth to myths featuring both awe-inspiring deities and fearsome creatures that embody the relentless power and unpredictability of nature. The primary sources that shed light on Fenrir's tale include the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda, which were both compiled in the 13th century. The Poetic Edda is a compilation of Old Norse poems that have been passed down through the generations orally before being documented. The poems provide glimpses into the mythological world, describing Fenrir's birth, his relationship with the gods, and his pivotal role in the cataclysmic events of Ragnarok. Equally significant is the Prose Edda, penned by the Icelandic historian Snorri Sturluson. This work offers a more structured narrative of Norse myths, detailing complex cosmologies, the relationships between the gods and other mythological beings, and through Snorri's writings, we gain a comprehensive understanding of Fenrir's significance. The Prose Edda recounts how the gods, recognizing Fenrir's latent power and threat, attempted multiple times to restrain him. These texts not only chronicle Fenrir's physical bindings, but also unveil his inevitable escape and the havoc he is destined to wreak during Ragnarok. Together, these ancient sources paint a vivid picture of Fenrir, illustrating his place within the broader Norse cosmology. Fenrir's story is emblematic of a deep-seated Norse ethos, reflecting themes of fate, power, and the perpetual struggle between order and chaos. And through the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda, the legacy of Fenrir continues to echo through the ages, captivating those who seek to understand the mythological roots of Fenrir. But in Norse mythology, Fenrir stands as a powerful symbol of the uncontrollable forces of nature and the inevitability of destruction. The wolf, with his immense strength and ferocity, embodies the chaotic elements that the Norse people believed were always looming, ready to disrupt the order maintained by the gods. Central to Fenrir's story is the concept of fate, an inescapable force that even the gods couldn't defy. The Norse worldview was deeply rooted in the beliefs that all events, even those orchestrated by the gods, were preordained. Fenrir's prophesied role in Ragnarok, the end of the world, underscores this belief. His eventual breaking free of the unbreakable bonds of Gleipnir and his devastating attack on the gods serve as reminders of the inevitable cycle of creation and destruction. Fenrir's narrative also reflects the Norse people's experience with their harsh environment. Living in a land of rugged landscapes and brutal winters, they were intimately familiar with the untamed power of nature, and Fenrir, as an embodiment of this raw force, symbolizes the unpredictable and often destructive aspects of the natural world. The gods' repeated attempts to bind Fenrir illustrate the struggle to impose order on chaos, a struggle that resonates with the human condition. Also, Fenrir's lineage as the offspring of Loki, the trickster god, and Angrboda, a giantess, adds layers to this symbolism. Loki's nature as a bringer of chaos and disruption is magnified in his son. The Norse myths often depicted Loki and his children as forces that, while chaotic and destructive, were necessary for the progression and eventual rebirth of the cosmos. And through Fenrir's story, the Norse people communicated themes of power, inevitability, and the fragile balance between order and chaos. These elements, embedded within the myth, have ensured its resonance and relevance through the ages, making Fenrir a lasting symbol of the awe-inspiring and often terrifying power of the natural world. All right, that's all I got for today. Thanks for listening. If you like it, hit that subscribe button for us. If you don't like it, that's okay too. Other than that, have a great day.